disruptors, and welcome back to another episode of Mindset Master Moments with yours truly, Dr. Alisa Whyte. I am so excited to be in this particular episode because it was a fight to get to this moment, believe it or not. 45 minutes went by into recording time, and we did not get to push the go button. So we know this is going to be a really powerful episode. So wherever you are listening to this, ensure that you share this with 2 other persons because I have a phenomenal guest. But here's the thing. Did you know that women are 1.5 times more likely than men to transition in their careers? Studies have showed that 50% of working women plan to make a career change in the next 5 years. However, women often face our own unique challenges because, listen, I have too. And so we have a guest who helps women around the world tackle these issues like imposter syndrome, balancing societal expectations, and facing the challenges of traditionally male-dominated fields. This is why building resilience and a growth-oriented mindset is so absolutely essential. I'm excited to introduce you to Dr. Tsitsi Hungwe. She is here to discuss with us the topic of women transitioning or just altogether focusing in on a mindset that's filled with resilience and growth. Dr. Tsitsi Hungwe, welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, and please come on to the stage. I know you have waited so long for us to get to this moment.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. And yes, it's going to be impactful tonight. I'm excited.
Happy to have you. Well, listen, I got to tell our viewers a little bit, our viewers and listeners, a little bit more about you. Dr. Tsitsi is a Zimbabwean-American keynote speaker, corporate trainer, and leadership development expert. And can I tell you, she has some JATDMA in her veins, and that makes it so exceptional to have this conversation. She has helped countless early career women navigate transitions confidently, and she's also the founder and CEO of Higher Mountaintops, LLC. Dr. Tsitsi has also recently authored a best-selling book that's called Mastering Career Transitions, Unveiling 6 Essential Strategies. So without further ado, Dr. Tsitsi, please tell us about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and how did you even get on the journey to becoming the phenomenal coach, speaker, and also dentist that you are?
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. So I call myself an immigrant, leaving my footprints across the globe.
Yes.
Shout out to Zimbabwe. And so my family, we've lived in various places over the years, but we did immigrate to Michigan from Zimbabwe in the early 2000s. And it was a decision that my dad made for the most part so that he could provide his children with opportunities. And so a lot of my story and a lot of what I owe is to my parents because they made the decision for me to then come here and be the woman that I am now. And so how did I end up in this situation? I ended up going to dental school, and I am a dentist by trade. I'm sure you all remember the pandemic, and we all faced many challenges. For me, the pandemic was a challenging time personally, but also it had me reflecting on my life. And for some reason, because I am a woman of faith, I do believe it was the man above that gave me some degree of asking me, what is it that you're going to do with the rest of your life, Tsitsi? And I asked myself that question. And for some reason, I was at the height of my career, but I was feeling lost, confused, and anxious. And I thought maybe I should just be grateful. Maybe I'm not grateful. And I fought that feeling for quite a while. Long story short, I sought other avenues of support, which led me to join the John Maxwell team, now known as the Maxwell Leadership Team. And I met my amazing mentors now. And I just trusted the process. I said, I'm not really trying to start a business, but I'm open to joining, a program just for insight. And I do believe something led me into this program. And by the end of the fall of 2021, as I like to say, I had a business. Wow. And I was clear that one of the reasons why I was here was not just also to continue to impact my patients chairside, but that there was something else, a legacy now that I was meant to leave, and that would continue to be the impact that I would have over the next 3 decades. And so that's what brings me here as the founder of Higher Mountaintops. And I'm just excited for the journey ahead.
That is phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about Higher Mountaintops, because that journey reminds me of my own. A little bit before I joined the Maxwell team, which was in 2020, I think I was right in the middle of the pandemic. I had already registered my LLC, Fulfillment Empowerment Network, and I'd been in career coaching and all the wonderful stuff, and a little bit of speaking here or whatever, but I needed that formal, stamp of approval. So just 1 year ahead of you. So tell us about Higher Mountaintops, because I'd love to know what your vision was when you decided to get that business set up, and what was the vision behind it?
It's interesting when I tell people about even just the name behind it. The name came to me before I actually knew what it was, which I believe is a divine moment for me. And I thought to myself, when I registered the business, I said, there is more. That's what came to mind. Because I was at the height of my career. And, as a dentist, you just keep moving up, 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 up. And I said, what is that next best step for me? It is to live a life of significance and to bring all the gifts that I had been bestowed to connect with people in a different capacity that I'm able to do. And the name came to me, Higher Mountaintops. From then on, I reflected on my own journey as an early professional years back, even as a student. School equips us with the skills, the technical skills that we need. But I found in the early stages of my career as a dentist, I had the unspoken title of being a manager, whether or not I was in a group practice. And I came to the realization that those years were challenging. We like to say fake it or make it, right? I went through getting through it, but I also did not have a sense of purpose. I came to the realization that even with my own journey in the early stages of my career, what if I had had a coach to help me navigate the early stages of my career? So oftentimes we look at someone of my stature, a dentist, she's got this, right?
Right, exactly.
We all need support, right? And we all love support. Right. I'm sure you can agree.
Yes.
And I also thought of the pivot that I was considering, which is to step into entrepreneurship in a different industry than I had been trained in. And I said, if I've been able to at least step into this and be open to that, who else may be wanting to pivot careers? How can I service to them? And so that's where Higher Mountaintops came, which is then to help early professional women, specifically high-achieving women, but any early professional women, to prepare for their next career transition and to let them know that it is okay to want more. You don't have to wait 20 years into your career and get that second career. You can make a pivot at any time, and it is okay because life is short, and I think we learned that from the pandemic.
I love that. So absolutely true. And first thing I heard you say, you wanted to be the person that you would have needed. And so you obviously have that connection with your clients, is that you walk the path. And so many of us end up walking the path alone. Some people don't even know there is a special person that's out here, or persons that will serve them during that transition. Here's a question I have for you. You said something that really struck a nerve with me, because I talk about it a lot, and that's purpose. So when a woman who would have studied dentistry, those are a lot of years So how did you first now want to become a dentist? And how did you land in a position at some years later, not having purpose? Like, is it not what you kind of chose to do? And talk to us about choosing a career and walking in purpose. And why is it the same and also sometimes very different?
I love that question, Dr. Alisa, because I generally, years ago when I was a teenager, we had a dentist in Michigan, and she was very kind and always treated us really well. I really enjoyed my visits with her. And as a young teenager, it's interesting because when I look back, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I want to say it was a little different. I always felt like there was something I wanted to do. I wanted to change the world. I remember feeling that, but not knowing exactly what that was.
Yeah.
And I liked teeth, and what she was doing. And as a woman of her stature, not many women of her generation were owning their own practice, happy and thriving. It was good to see that reflection of a woman really thriving and owning her own practice. And when I said I was interested, and here's the, nugget that I give for mentors out there, she encouraged my interest. A long way. And so long story short, I did some shadowing with her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I sealed my decision to go to apply for dental school. And I am the first dental professional, period, not just dentist, within the generations now and in the past in my family. And so I'm proud of that.
Yes, and congratulations, of course.
Thank you. And so I spent some time, as you know, in school and invested in that. And here's when I look back. What I think, and I think you sort of referenced that. I believe that, sometimes, especially as high achieving women, is what I'm going to use the term because I don't want to generalize, but I can speak for myself. I spent a lot of years doing and not being. And I felt myself having somewhat of an identity crisis. Because you spend a lot of time, in school getting graded, and then you are delivering services as a professional. And the question is, as the pandemic taught me, not working for several months, who are you when you're not, showing up in this space? Are you the same person? Do you know who you are? And I didn't understand that question. So I had to do a self-discovery myself. I do believe in the Word of God, but it's one thing to know, but it's one thing that you're supposed to know it for yourself and to have it.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I really just did not know why I was in this world. I'm just going to be candid. And I'm not afraid to say that because I have met others now who have been at that crossroads. And I said, I do want to continue to provide services, in my profession, but I believe there's something in me, a desire that has me longing to now give back in a different capacity because I know
in a different way.
Yes, and I know this. There is only one of me.
Right.
There's only one of me, Tsitsi, from Zimbabwe, with the qualifications that I have, a woman in a field with less than 4%, Black dentists. And I bring together my personality, and I said that combination,
right?
You are going to continue in this space to provide the service, but there's only one of you with your experience, and bring that to your clients. And that is my purpose. It's not just about helping early professional women, but they are going to be able to relate to me because I can not only just speak to transitions professionally, but I have and traveled all over the world. And so I know what transition is. Right. And so that's why I'm doing this, because purpose is really now about when I'm gone, what am I going to be remembered?
What you leave behind. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. It sounds to me that you're saying you did not get, you were never disappointed or frustrated that you invested years of your life studying dentistry and even working in the field. You very much loved and enjoyed it, but you weren't satisfied and necessarily fulfilled at where it's like, this is the spot. Or so what you did was question that feeling of dissatisfaction. And once you did, that's where Higher Mountaintops, speaker, coach, trainer, and now working with these women and doing the work that you do, you still do dentistries from what we talked about earlier. However, you're getting a full circle set of fulfillment doing both. And for the women and even men that are listening to us that struggle with the word purpose, purpose is your big why, but it's also that oomph, that 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 yeah. And until you get to that spot, keep digging. That's what I'm getting from Dr. Hungwe today. Is that until you feel it, until you have the smile she has on her face and the zest and the vibrance. You heard her. She introduced herself, but once she started talking about what she got to do and leaving a legacy, she lit up. Like, just go back and run the tapes. For those who are listening podcast, hop over to YouTube and watch the video. You will see her face, how it lit up. And that is the feeling that makes me know I am working in my purpose. And so you said something so clear that you were in the pandemic. And I love what the pandemic did for us, because some people did not pivot the way you did. Some people succumbed emotionally and suppressed that urging. And then I feel like everyone had a notch to ask for more out of themselves. Like, more was required in the pandemic. And not everyone said, what is this thing? And pursued it. Some people just kept suppressing it, and they were able to move on. But in the meantime, greatness was birthed in your life, right? So let me ask you a question. I feel like we already know exactly why you chose to work with the women and everything, because this is your story. This is your story, this is your song. But in your experience, what are some of the unique challenges that you found that early career women face during those transitions that they're making, whether they've already had a career or they're now starting one? What does that look like? What are some of those unique challenges that they're looking at?
Mm-hmm. I would say some of the unique challenges, I think, is it the right time? And, there's a quote I read a while back. I don't have it, down with me, but I think it spoke into what is the right time. Because I think sometimes an early professional, you may feel, I want to use the word obligated. Invested previously. So sometimes that shows up as staying in a job long past the time your intuition has told you now it's time to move on to a promotional position elsewhere. Sometimes that shows up as those who may have had dreams to start their own practice, but they're not necessarily sure if it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
So sometimes, oddly enough, asking for help can be seen by some as a weakness.
As a weakness.
And so I think some of the challenges are just looking inward as opposed to looking outward. Who's waiting for you? In the meantime, while you're contemplating, feeling stuck, questioning yourself, which is sometimes a manifestation of imposter syndrome, there are people that could gain from the value that you're adding by starting your own practice, or maybe pivoting into another career, or just you having that fulfillment. So I would say imposter syndrome. feeling like asking for help is a weakness, but also and then also the third one would be deciding what you want.
That's big.
Trusting your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
It takes many, many years after, you are 18, you leave your home. I'm talking about just, the traditional route.
Yeah.
And now you go to college, and now in your mid-20s, you have to make decisions. And learning to trust your intuition sometimes can take years and years and years. And so, do you want to consult with this person and this person and this person? Sometimes that can also create lack of clarity. And so I find also not trusting intuition and not knowing what you want as well being an issue. So imposter syndrome, as well as not trusting your intuition, and also not feeling like asking for help. Those are the big ones.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. Those are definitely solid ones. How would you say that women or individuals in generally could best mentally prepare to take on those challenges, take them on head on?
I would say one of the things that I, along my own journey as well, that I became cognizant of is who are the people within your circle? And whose voice are you listening to?
Who has your ear time?
Yeah, you can have a coach, you can have a mentor, you can have all the materials out there, but also if the people that you're surrounding yourself, they're not adding value, or you're choosing to consult with too many people for validation, that often can become one of the biggest barriers we have found as well.
Wow, absolutely. So knowing who to have around, and for us, I'd love to go back to the law of environment and the 15 laws of invaluable growth. That's one big one. And then you said knowing when to make that move is another one. And that's where you absolutely need to have the right people, because you can have someone discourage you. And I love when you shared in your own story that you listened to the voice of God. You went full body into it. You did body, mind, and soul into the inquiry, making that inquisition, going to the root cause analysis of why do I feel less than fulfilled? And then had those answers resurrect or surface in the body, mind, and in your spirit. And I love that. And that's something that I really believe when we talk about connecting with your purpose, because I don't like to say finding as much anymore, because I don't feel like your purpose is lost. So you're not looking for a needle in a haystack, but it's you clearing the signal to connect to it. Because if we're under a house, under a bridge somewhere, and we're far away from a tower where there's cell service, you're not going to have connection to the internet, right? Or whatever, cell service. So my point is that what I'm hearing, you're saying, clear out the noise. Look who has your ear time and what you're saying, what you're listening to, what you're reading, and just give yourself a clear connection so you can reconnect to purpose, right? I love that. Here's another question. I know that a lot of women face confidence issues. We talked about imposter syndrome a little bit, and this pops up a lot. I so agree with you when they're making these transitions. What strategies would you recommend to help women to cultivate that resilience and self-confidence type mindset to help them through the changes that they're going to make when it comes to career?
I am a huge advocate, and I mentioned this in my journal, Mastering Career Transitions, that it's important to find and surround yourself with a tribe. That comes from one of the African proverbs that says it takes a village to raise a child. Some may read as raising a child, I do believe that carries on into adulthood. And
Yes.
so, for example, the question is, who do you have around you to help you along the journey? So you typically, with transitions, are not necessarily looking to have somebody that is doing a similar path as you, because the role of a coach, for example, is not to tell you what to do, but to ask the right questions to help you come to the realization of the answer.
Yes.
And then sometimes with my program, providing you the resources that you may need to make your next step. But it's really, really important to have another party, we'll say, that can help you see the greatness and the potential. Sometimes you may even need to borrow their belief. So I have found that is also super important and critical. Because no one is self-made, right, Dr.
That's
Alisa?
right. We want to say it, but we're not.
Yes, no one is self-made. And then with imposter syndrome, I have found, even in my own life, I have begun to do a lot more time journaling, as well as doing affirmations. And that means, reaffirming who you are at the core, not the labels, but who you are. And so I would say, for sure, taking that time, it could be journaling, quiet time for yourself, so you can really tap into the core of who you are, rather than the noise that surrounds us. It is something that we will navigate, most of us, for all our life. But as long as it does not inhibit you from stepping into the next step in your life, that is the key, because we all experience times of doubt, but it is those of us who have the courage to continue to do it anyways are the ones that will be remembered ultimately.
Absolutely. So here's a question I have for you, because someone's listening and they're like, well, how did Dr. Tsitsi do it, really? You went from being a dentist full-time to only doing it just a little and completely switch gears. What kind of feeling and emotions did you truly have through that transition? Did you just get up and say, I'm going to do my LLC, join the Maxwell team, here I go, and get on the journey? Who did you have around you? What did they think about this whole idea of you changing? What did your family think? You're the only first dentist and now you want to be something else. How was that for you? What did you do? Was there a fallout in any space? Because a lot of people are truly afraid of what people think. I don't know if you experienced it, but I'd love to hear it. And of course, just to keep the scales balanced, I will go back and share a little bit of my transitions.
That is a great question, because I do love to share that path, because mine was truly a non-traditional path. And so, as I mentioned, in 2021, I actually, and I'm going to delve more into how I was feeling. We were at the top of 2021, and I found myself as a crossroads, feeling lost, confused, and anxious, and at some point even fell into a dark hole. There were some internal struggles going on, and so I said, okay, even if outwardly I make a change, meaning we'll say in terms of professionally, or make a pivot, there's still some work to be done inwardly. And so I did seek initially to join the Maxwell Leadership Team, because I knew that it was a different way for me to open up my mind. I was open to other avenues of growing myself. I did not actually have the intention of starting my business when I joined the Maxwell Leadership Team. I said, you know what, I think this would be of added value to my life. And I literally, when I reflect on this time and I tell people, I was literally trusting the process. And whatever the next best step I heard to take, I was following it. I said, I'm at a crossroad right now. What do I have to lose by joining joining the Maxwell Leadership Team. And that was the first step. And I joined around May or June of 2021. Next thing you know, I trusted the process. I was still working as a full-time dentist, and I said, let me jump on a call. And long story short, eventually within the network, I met my mentors, Cedric LaFleur, Angela Hooper-Manyfield, and Dr. Nicole Rankin. And sometimes you then, meet people and know them in a different capacity. Yeah. And later on, they said they had a program for entrepreneurs. And I said, well, I'm not an entrepreneur, but, it sounds like there's an opportunity for me to grow. Maybe I'll take it, because something different for me to occupy my week. I'm telling this story very frankly, because I did not know anything about starting a business. I had not sold any products in my life. I knew teeth. I knew teeth. That's what I knew.
Teeth is my business.
And I was told you can register your business on the website, and I registered and I just followed all the steps. I said, I don't really know why I'm doing this. It's sort of an out-of-body experience. I'll have to recap this later in my book when I do write it in the years to come, because I literally was just trusting the voice within in hindsight.
Yes, and just following it step by step.
And as I went through the program, because we were, identifying, our niche, and I said, well, I don't have a niche, and I started to reflect on my experience. By the end of the program, I had a business. I said, oh, I have something here. And I knew around December 2021 that my life had changed. I know, we use that phrase, but truly I knew I had found my purpose, and that I needed to follow through. And so long story short, 2022, I, moved ahead with my business, and I never questioned the decision in regards to whether or not anything that I had done before was of value. But there were times in which I did look to the left and right and say, is there any other dentist that is making a pivot or has made a pivot this early in their career? Maybe I should just, hang tight, because it is challenging. There's a lot of time invested, as well as learning needed. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, we don't talk about this. Sometimes we try things and things don't, quite work. And we have to have the resilience and the foresight to know that if we stop now, then the people that are waiting for us are going to lose the opportunity to meet us. And so I did come to a point, I would say most of the struggle was just internally, making sure that I solidified if this was really the path that I was going to take. But I also came to the realization that I was excited because I was in my 30s and still am in my 30s. And I said, if I keep doing this over the next 3 decades, I'm going to have been around for a really long time. And one of the most experienced dental professionals and coaches in the industry. And so I had that foresight, and I said, you start now. And I have continued to surround myself with my mentors, as well as networks, and just continue to trust the process. And 3 years later, what I have now is astounding, because I am consistent. And so for me, anytime there's doubt, I just think, you know what, if you stop now, what is it that, others may be losing out on? And so that's what keeps me going, is the legacy over the next 3 decades, as long as I'm around, that I will have left in this world.
So well said. That's well said. Absolutely. Start now. And that's what I always tell everyone. And the thing you said that was so key, I hope that our listeners and viewers caught. You said, as an entrepreneur, no, everyone always sees our wins, but they don't see how many times we tried and it did not work out. I don't say fail. It did not go the way we intended, or we had to start all over again, or we had to just be like, delete, and do something completely different. It's pivoting is what I call it. I say, oh, just bumped in the road. Oh, I did not know what I didn't know. Now I know not to do that again. And so the story about the light bulb and how many times he tried so many different things, and then they were like, his attitude, his mindset was, now I know that doesn't work. So you're gonna have more of those than you would. It's someone I heard, I can't remember because I listen and read so many things, but they said people don't realize that a lot of times and they use the word fail, which is a harsher word for me, but you end up failing your way to success. If you want to be successful without trial and error and complete flops and failures, forget it. You're just going to be average. You're just going to be status quo. And you know what? If you are fulfilled in what someone might be as average, then you are being very, very successful and you're winning. But if you want more and you want to do everything you can with your potential that's inside of you, I say everything you can because you're never going to live it all out. You'll run out of time before you run out of potential. You're going to have to fail forward fast. And as we say in the Maxwell Leadership Team, is jump and let your wings grow on your way down. Because if you don't move now, it's now or never. It's like you always find a reason not to move forward. So awesome. And you did share with us, you had a vision, you had a strategy, that you helped you had individuals who were there to mentor you to get to the other side of seeing roadway. And I hope you're listening, that a lot of us who you see winning and doing and taking on the course, we did not do it on ourselves. We didn't do it on our own. Yes, it's when you are at the top of your career in one profession and you're making that change, most don't expect you to ask for help. That's exactly what you need to do, is recruit. And know that some of the recruiting, some of the mentorship may be distant. You may not have met that person, but they have answers that you need to unlock the next level, like a game. And then it's someone else at the next level. So don't be afraid to embrace asking for help. Thank you so much, Dr. Tsitsi, and letting us know that. So on the show, we love to play a game that's called Flip the Script. So we'll dive a little bit more into your journey. So could you share a time in your own career when you had to completely flip the script of your mindset, reframe your entire approach, and what impact did that shift make, and what was the outcome? Because we wanted it, right?
I would say a time in my life when I had to, we'll say, flip the script, was actually having the courage to share my story, and actually openly, during my talks as a speaker. Mm-hmm. So let me recap which story I'm speaking of. When I was in dental school, in my final years, I had to take my dental board exams. Mm-hmm. And I had to take 3 sets of board exams, and collectively, not once, not twice, but it ended up being several failures, and it amounted to between the 3 exams 10 times for the board exams. And I found myself over the years, in hindsight, early even in my career, feeling some degree of like imposter syndrome, speaking of it, and not really owning that story and really understanding why I had to go through that. Sometimes, as my bonus mom likes to say, Angela Hooper Manyfield, she says, it all conspires for our good. And I did not necessarily quite want to heed to that. And I came to the realization, as I began to share that story, that many, many people, especially some of the students that I speak to on college campuses, have been going through challenges, whether in school or just personal challenges, and just hearing firsthand, especially a dentist by trade, because that's really what a lot of people remember, sharing that story and being successful in my career. It helps them to know that they will make it. It's one thing to be told, try once, try twice. And so I would say the shift for me was taking that story from something that I was going to bury, perhaps for many years to come, and just share with personal people. Now it's become my power.
Yes, you embraced it and flipped the script, and it empowered you and became like a big tool in your toolbox that you get to pull out and help other people. And that's the true, that's when I say it's radical authenticity where most people won't. And again, I believe it's by design. For me, I never share my story without the permission from God that I should. That's been a thing that I have committed to because number one, I was very much afraid of sharing my story, right? People see me now and I speak loosely about all different parts of my journey and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, but just believe if I give a little blurb right now, I was given the sign off. You have to do it. And now I'm quicker. I used to drag my feet. But now I'm so quick. We have this relationship because my goal every day as I wake up is to keep the signal, keep the connection wide open so I can hear from God and I can be guided along my journey. Because man, at 44, I don't like the waste of time. Not that I feel like I'm out of time, but a lot of the time wasting on my journeys, quote unquote, which I would just say a lot of it is just lesson learned. I don't regret it anymore, but I feel like I'm given this gift of time, and my honor and thanks to God is using it wisely. And going around the mulberry bush, it's not wise use of this time. So it's like, keep the signal clear. Okay, all this noise, television, YouTube, whatever's going on, all the books I love to read, all the conversations and phone calls, like, keep this signal clear because I want to hear God when he's talking to me. Because then I'll listen right away now. I won't question it no more and play with it. And then I'll get to point A, point B quicker. I'll get through dark moments quicker. I'll get through this hang up. The moment of fear, imposter syndrome, I get through it quicker, and I don't say over. I say through, and then sometimes over. But for me, it's always through because when I go through it, I get to learn, I get to get polished, I get cleaned up, and I come out glowing on the other side of that, right? So as someone who's guided so many women through their transitions, how do you find success in your journey? What do you define success as?
Success to me is actually shifted with recent years because I am very much analytical. And I also, as somebody that obviously invested a lot of time within my career, it was always checking out boxes, And so for me, success was, and in some ways I would say it's still part of that, but it's achieving the goals and checking off boxes and the next thing. But I have come more to the realization of something that's given me a lot more fulfillment and just understanding what success is, because sometimes there's setbacks along the way. And so for me now, success is a combination of being able to attain some of the goals that I have. However, I also see it as a big part of that having peace. So on the other side of the success, how do you feel? And that is one of the distinguishing factors of my coaching program, which is it's important that my clients on the other side of their transition to not just make it, they just barely, we'll say, make it on the inside because they now have their, we'll say their little trophy, but also to feel a sense of peace as well as to remain whole. And so that means not compromising their values as well as not compromising as well their well-being. So I don't believe that you need to, work around the clock or we'll say sacrifice your personal values to attain the goals. It's really about peace as well as having that fulfillment. And along the way, as we check off those boxes, I do believe if you keep that in mind, that is a more, we'll say, grounded definition that I have chosen for myself.
For yourself. I love it. I love it. I love it. I have this thing I wrote some years ago. It's on my social media about a lot of us think we're seeking love, we're seeking happiness, we're seeking money, we're seeking fame, we're seeking abundance. I believe ultimately, as a human soul, we're seeking peace. And I feel like somehow, because the word success is tied to so many other things, we end up tying success to things that are outside of us. But I feel like, we say it's an inside job. For me, success is an inside job. And so what I define it as is peace. Because then I am my own universe. I create everything around me and within me. So now I'm looking at, if it doesn't work out, it's on me. If it does work out, it's on me. It's all on me. And I'm not saying that I don't need God and I don't need a village. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't get to point fingers. I am not unsuccessful because that business deal didn't work out. I'm not unsuccessful because I didn't get that job. And that's what you're saying. It used to be my boxes. So when those boxes are getting X's, you start shrinking with the X's, and now you feel like you're not successful. But when it's not a feeling, it's not an emotion, it is attached to, I've given me everything my all. I am doing everything I know. I'm trusting God as always. And this is tough. This is hard. But I am at peace. And I can still smile at the storm, in the storm, through the storm, even though I just cried. For me, that's success. And I feel like I don't want to define success. This is why I love asking the guests, because everyone has their own definition, as you should. But I still feel like I tapped into something, listening to everyone define success. And it always comes back to a level of having a peace and an inner knowing that I've done and I'm filled. And I'm okay, and I can, and I will. And even if I don't, I'm good. I'm good. So I love that. So one other question. What's the next big thing for Dr. Tsitsi, sorry. Why did I give you Sue? Tsitsi.
So the next big thing is I did release, my journal this year, Mastering Career Transitions, and I will be releasing another book within the next year or two is what I will say. I like to mention that because it's important along the journey for me to make something in writing because we know books have been around for a long time. And so anything that I put in writing will definitely outlast me. And so anytime I have the opportunity to have something published under my name, I know that that is a big thing to come up for me.
Yes, I agree. And what kind of mindset does it take for you to achieve writing your next book?
For me, I believe it takes a lot of, we'll say, reflection.
Yeah.
That is open as well to being adaptable. But when I did write my journal, it evolved over time as to what I wanted to write. It's not necessarily what I thought I should write, but what I felt was important. And so I try to pay attention to what I'm hearing within, but also around those who I'm serving. And so the mindset is going to have to be being open and listening to the voice within.
I love it. I love it. Being open and listening to your voice within so you can be guided. I love it. So now we're down to Mindset Bites to go, where I step away from the camera and the microphone and I allow our guests to go ahead and give us, if they had 90 seconds to send their last message to the world, what would it be? So if you can give our listeners one key piece of advice of navigating their next career transition with confidence, what would that be? And I will give the microphone to you.
Great. I am excited to share with you all one of my takeaways, and something that I would say is important to carry along the journey, is authenticity. I encourage you to really, once you come to the realization of, what your goals are along the journey, it's important to maintain that authenticity with you, because at the end of the day, who we are on the inside is really the most important thing. And so I learned this lesson from one of my mentors, Angela Manifield, that authenticity, once that space for authenticity is created, the sky is the limit. When she first said that, I did not quite understand it, but now I've come to the realization that with authenticity, it means accepting the journey. It means accepting our needs and our wants and our desires. It also means we're showing up in every room, every space as our true authentic self. And it means that we understand that we belong where we are. And so it's important to never shrink yourself, and to never dim your light, and to understand your value. And at the core of that is maintaining your authenticity. And so that would be my biggest takeaway to share with you.
Outstanding. I got never shrink yourself. Like, I am taking that one with me, because I am always looking for where I'm playing small, because you can't do big things and step into bigger shoes if you're playing small. So I am taking that with me. And of course, before we let you leave, you have got to tell us about your coaching program, how to connect with you, and also about this beautiful journal that you have and where we can get a copy.
Yes. So if you are an early professional woman feeling stressed, anxious, or maybe just unsure of what your next best step is, maybe you're starting off your career, or just feeling a sense of there is more, or anything that I said today has now having you question your direction, reach out to me as the first step. Because sometimes we're not even really sure if we need a coach, or if we just, we just need to take that next best step forward. You don't want to live your life as well with regret of what could have, should have been. And so reach out to me at my website, www.highermountaintops.com. And what I like to do typically is to just have a conversation with you through a strategy call, so we can uncover what your needs are, what your wants are. And also you can also come to the realization as well of what the next best step is. And so that's usually the first step I like to take in terms of coaching as well, coaching program. And my journal that I released in May in 2024 was my gift to early professionals and even students that are on the verge of graduating. It's called Mastering Career Transitions, and I came up with 6 essential strategies that were based off of my own experience. I mentioned one of the strategies being to surround yourself with a tribe. I talk about the importance of laughter as well along the journey, all of the things that are essential that you may not even be aware of, that can help you along the journey to equip you for your next chapter. That journal, Mastering Career Transitions, Unveiling 6 Essential Strategies, was an Amazon bestseller, and it is available today on Amazon as an ebook. And so I am excited that that is available for those who may be at that crossroads.
Awesome. So Dr. Tsitsi, how do we connect with you?
Yes, you can connect with me at my website, www.highermountaintops.com, or at 810-215-9966, and just text "ready to pivot."
Ready to pivot. All right. And you all know it's going to be in the description wherever you listen or watching this episode. Please connect with her. Let her know you were her Mindset Mastery Moments as well. and get that journal if you're in a transition. I am definitely going to get a copy so that I can see if it's a tool that I can share with some of my clients that I work with from time to time. I believe that journaling is a great tool. I tell a lot of people I'm a big, I journal in my phone, but there's something about having an actual journal paper. And there's some activities that I do with clients, and I'm like, I have a stack of notepads in my office. So even if I'm like, well, I don't have to go to Walmart or maybe the Dollar Tree so I can get a notebook and a journal. I'm like, you can do all that, but this starts this weekend. So here is a pad. So they never say, Dr. Whyte, I didn't get to go. So get a copy of the journal if you believe you need it. If some of these setbacks resonated with you, that means that the journal will definitely help you walk through. And then why not just go ahead and call her ready to pivot, right? Because she'll give you a strategy session. Dr. Tsitsi Hungwe, it's been such an honor and a privilege to have you share your journey with us and give us strategies and a big rainbow of hope along this journey of transitioning in career or just getting ready to start a new one altogether. We thank you so much. Thank you for being on Mindset Mastery Moments, and we're looking forward to having you back at some time in the future, especially as you develop on Higher Mountaintops and you do more impactful things. We'd love to have you be a part of our tribe as well, unashamedly, I must say. And so thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been awesome. So disruptors, you heard it. We've had an amazing episode with Dr. Tsitsi Hungwe, and we are just reminding you to keep hope, keep this discussion going, share with someone, and let them be inspired as well. Keep shifting your mindset, keep believing in, as Dr. Tsitsi said, don't play small, stop playing small, walk in confidence. You can do it. If you're making any pivot, you've got a pivot master to guide you here on the call with us today. Until next time, stay inspired and keep mastering your mindset. Bye now.